Hey guys, it's Maymay, and I have been wanting to make one of those cool Eclipse cards, and I thought, you know what, I can totally do this on my Cricut so easy, and if I'm going to make one, I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. So let's get started. If you don't know what an Eclipse card is, I'll put a photo in here so you can see what that looks like, but they're basically where you cut out a word or an image from pictures that are on a background, and then you lift part of it up to create like an eclipse. Now, I did a video on this on my channel a while back. I did not call it an eclipse card. I actually don't remember what I called it, but I will link it for you guys here. So if you want to do it with stamping, if you don't have a Cricut, you can. All right, let's get started. We're going to start with shapes. The first thing I want to do is put a square onto my mat. Now, I don't like that they come in gray, so I'm going to change that to white. My brain just needs that to be an outline instead of a gray square. Now this is going to be the mat for my card. I'm making an A2 size card, which means my card is going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 when finished. But I want this mat to be slightly smaller than the top of the card so I can have a little mat around the edge or a little border around the edge. So what we're going to do is I've unlocked the proportions here. I'm going to come up to the top, and I want this to be 5.25 wide, and I want it to be 4 inches tall. The reason for this is I want this to be a landscape style card. So instead of portrait, which would be up and down, I want to do landscape. Now what I need to do is find some florals that I want to put in here because I want to have either a floral or a shape or something to cut the mom word out of. So let's head to images. So let's just type in floral and see what we get. I've already been searching some and I didn't love everything I found. This one's really pretty. I like that one. And I like how this runs across the page. That would be pretty to put the mom word in it. Or we could set flowers around individually if we wanted to. Let's just keep peeking. So I found this called Dimensional Scenes Pretty Posies. It's beautiful. These images are incredible. They are in my subscription, so I have access to them. I'm going to click 2 of these. I'm going to click this one that is a line drawing. I'm going to come down here and click this one that is a print or that is a full color drawing. I'm going to insert this onto my mat. So I've decided to use this image. I think it's really pretty, and I think it'll be pretty across the bottom of the card. So here's what we're going to do. I want this to be a print image, not a cut image. Now, how do I know that it's a cut image? Do you see these scissors in this line here? That tells me it's a cut image, and it's going to cut each and every layer if I leave it like it is, and I don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to do is with the image selected, I'm going to head to the bottom, and I'm going to click Flatten. When I do that, it takes all of those images and flattens them into one. And notice how our image here has kind of changed. Instead of having all those little outlines, now it's just one solid image. And that's what we want. Now the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to size this up to fit along the bottom of this card. I'm going to unlock the proportions so I can slide this in. If you don't unlock the proportions, then it's going to only move proportionally and it will shrink kind of funny. It won't do exactly what you want because all of the sides are locked. So I think that's really pretty. Now to be sure this is the right size, I'm going to head up here to the width and I'm going to change it to 5.25 because I know that's the width of my card. And the height can be whatever I want, and I kind of like the height that it is. So the next thing I want to do is this. I want to make sure that this image prints on this square. If I leave it as is, let me show you what happens. Let's go make it. We're not ready to make it, but I want to show you. If I leave it as is, that print image becomes its own page, and then I have another mat for the card. I don't want that to happen. I want to go back, and I want to tell this image to stay here. So how do we do it? We're going to click that image. I'm holding down Shift on my keyboard and clicking the card base. I'm going to head to the bottom, and I'm going to say Attach in the bottom right-hand corner. Now when I say Make It, I want to show you what happens. Now, and we have to click Apply when we do this. If we make a change back and forth, you have to click Apply to see the change. Now you'll see that that image is going to print on my card base, and it's going to print and cut all together. That's what we want. Let's go back. We're not done yet. Now a tip for you. You've done this work. You might as well save it. Go ahead and save as you go. So I'm going to call this Eclipse Mom Card. Oops. And I'm going to leave it public because I want to be able to share it with you guys. So I'll be sure to link this in the video description so you can get to it. If you have access, you'll be able to use this image as well. So I'm going to click Save. All right, now I have saved my work so far, and I would suggest you do that often. Much like when you're building a Word document or an Excel document or a Pages document, you want to save often. It's the same thing here. Okay, now let's work on the text. Now we want to add some text. We want to put the word mom in here. So I'm going to head to my text option, and I'm going to type in mom in all capital letters. And this looks good, actually. This was the font I was using earlier. It's Arial Rounded Bold, and I like the shape of this, so I'm going to leave it like that. For what we're doing, you're going to want a bold font because you want to cut out a pretty good shape, okay? So there's our word mom. Now I'm going to bring it over here on the card, and this is where we're going to start to stretch it and make it the size we want. So I'm going to unlock it. Now for these Eclipse cards, what works really well to me, or what I've seen that I think is really pretty, is when you kind of cut out part of the word or part of the image in the letters and then you leave some of it white. I just think it looks pretty like that. So that's how I'm going to do this one. So what that means is when we cut this, these letters that look black now, they won't look like that when we cut it. They'll actually be the pattern behind it. I'm going to show you how to do that. But when you cut it and you put this back together, you'll have the Eclipse look with the floral everywhere, and the letters will also be white at the top. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and change these to the color white. Okay, so I'm going to center this mom word on my card. So with mom selected, I'm going to hold down shift and select my card base. And then I'm going to align it centered horizontally. Okay, now, if I tell this to cut right now, these letters are not going to cut on this spot. What's going to happen? Let's click Make It. So you can see here, if we tell it to make it now, we'll have our print on one mat and then our mom word on the other. We don't want that to happen. Let's go back. We want to attach our mom word right here. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll select the word mom, we'll select our card base, and we're going to go to the bottom and we're going to paper clip that or click attach to hold it there. Now these letters will cut out of this image that we've made. Let me show you. Let's go make it. So now you can see we're going to print that floral on the back and it's going to cut that mom on the front. Now it looks like it's going to print these letters out as well, but it's not. These are cut images, okay? So that's a cut word. So it will not print there, but when we go to make it, it will actually cut on the maker. Okay, so we're almost ready to go, but I want to add one more thing. I'm going to go back to text, and I'm going to type in "You're the best," because I think this will be cute right above the words. So I don't care for this font. Let's change this font. I'm going to click on that and do the drop down. Let's find something pretty. So I'm going to use this font. This is called Babette. However, notice how far apart my letters are. I want them to be closer together. So I'm going to come up here to letter spacing, and I'm just going to start clicking the down arrow to bring these closer together until they're where I like them. You have to be careful though, because you can get them, some of them coming together faster than others. See how this one does? And what over here? These aren't coming together too quick. So that might not work for you every time. If it doesn't, you can come right here to advanced and you can ungroup the letters, and then you can like use your arrow keys and move them exactly where you want them. And this may be a little bit fussy, and you probably could find a font that wouldn't need this, but I just kind of like this font, and I thought while I'm here, I'll show you this feature too. So I'm going to bring this one over a little closer, and I'm just using my arrow keys. I'm not pulling them with my mouse because then I can get offline, and I don't want to do that. So I'm just bringing these over like so with my arrow keys, and now they're all touching. So if you ever needed a workaround on something like this, this is a good way to do it. I'm going to leave that one like that. I like that much better. But now I need to select all of them because I need to group them back together. So I'm just going to click on each one. You can also use your cursor and click and drag and grab all these. But because I left it laying over my card base, it would also pick up the card base. So I'm just going to do it this way by selecting each one. And now I'm going to group them back together. Okay, now we want to shrink them down because I want them to fit right above the mom here. That's a little bit big for me. Let's do it like that. So I want that to print there. Now, like I said, I want it to print there. At this point, they're cut letters. I don't want them to be cut letters. I want them to print. Now, I have to show you something. Because I did this as an afterthought, I have to go undo some things to make this work. So if I were to tell this to go right now, what will happen is, even if I attach this image right here, when I get ready to print this, it's going to think I want to cut these letters out, and I don't want to do that. I need to flatten this word, this set of words, to this card base. But if I try to flatten it while I've already got all of these attached, it's going to flatten everything, and I don't want to do that. So let me show you what we're going to do. I'm going to come right here to the card base and I'm going to select it. I'm going to detach the word mom, but I'm not going to move anything. I'm just going to leave it sitting right there, okay? Now, those words didn't go away. They just went behind. So what we can do is come right over here to our layers panel and we can click on those words and then we can arrange and move them to the front. So we're right back where we were, except we need to do a little bit of fancy footwork here. So with these selected, I'm going to hold down shift and select my card base. Because my word mom is no longer attached here, I can do this, okay? I'm going to come over here and I'm going to flatten my you're the best to that card. Again, don't panic. Those letters didn't go anywhere. We're going to come right over here to our cut letters. I'm going to click on them and I'm going to go arrange and bring them to the front. So we're almost back where we need to be. The only thing we need to do now is we need to make sure we tell the Cricut that I want this cut word to stay on this card base by attaching it. Now, if you're going to build this, you'll want to go ahead and get all your print work done first and then attach your cut words. But since I did it as an afterthought, I wanted to show you what happens, okay? So we're ready now. This is going to cut my card front. I'm going to have all of this left to be my card base. So really, this is a card from one sheet of cardstock. All right, let's make it. Now, I get asked this question a lot. Your Cricut does not print. What prints is your printer. So I need to send this to my own printer for it to print. And this is what it's going to look like when it prints out. And that's where it's going to go. So I'm going to say print. And once it prints, we're ready to go cut it on the maker.
Okay, so I've printed this out. I've loaded it on my mat and I've fed it into the maker. Now, on the software, I'm going to choose medium cardstock, 80 pound. I've already got my blade loaded in and it is ready to go. So here I just need to click the flashing Cricut head. And it will start to recognize the registration marks. That black line that you see that printed is the registration mark. So it's going to read that first. So I'm just going to use my spatula, and I want to show you this. If you will curl your mat, you have a better release of the product from the mat than trying to just peel it straight off the mat. So I'm just kind of curling it there and get that one started. I'm going to do the same here. Don't curl too much because you can crack your mats, and I have done that plenty of times. So I'm just going to curl this one again, kind of curl and roll. Just kind of let that lift up on its own. I really want to be careful with these letters because we're using every bit of this. We're using the positive and the negative space. So I don't want anything to tear or rip or anything. You can use your spatula. Get up underneath there. This is my old vintage Cricut spatula. I love it. I've hung on to it. I actually found one of these in a craft store one time that was just on a rack. They've had it forever and I bought it. I was like, if you had more, I'd buy them all. I love this little guy. I don't know why. All right. And then I'm going to dig into here. Get this guy off. Again, we need all of these. So that's why I'm really being careful here. Taking my time. There we go. So now that I've got it off of the mat, I want to separate it. I got a little bit of sticking right there. Not bad. Let's pull this guy out. Again, I'm being very careful. Don't want to mess up any of the letters on the inside either. Okay, then remember how I told you you could use this sheet for your card base? Check this out. If you cut this, just sit my trimmer right there for a second. If you come in and you cut it at 5.5 here at the bottom, it's just going to clear that little area and it leaves you with this. You could use that as a frame if you wanted to, and then this can become your card base. So one sheet of cardstock and we get the whole card. Now I'm going to score this at 4 1/4, just like so. Okay, and then fold that over, crease it down, and this is my card base. Perfect. So 1 piece of cardstock, pretty cool. I like when we can do that. All right, the next thing we need to do, remember, keep all your pieces, okay? This needs to be glued down to the top of our card, and I am going to glue it down flat to the card. If you want to use a different color card base, you certainly could. I'm not going to stress about it, though. I'm just going to use this one. But you could always save this for another project, right? But I want to use it to show you how you can do it this way. So I'm going to use my fine metal tip on my art glitter glue, and I'm going to get into these spots, really to these tiny little areas, because you want those to stick down as well, okay? So run this around here, stick down to those tiny spots, just like so. And then I can just do it the rest of the card just like I would when I was gluing it down. All right, then we're going to mount this right inside of our card base. So we'll have a little white border around it. You want to make sure all those little pieces get laid down nice and straight. That's going to be the trick to make this little card work. Now I'm going to use foam squares to pop my letters up, but I'll tell you something I thought about after the fact. You totally cut some fun foam or some craft foam for behind these and then just glue it down with your Cricut. I just didn't even think about it. I just wanted to make the card. So I'm just going to pop these up with my foam squares and that'll be fine. But if you need to, or if you have some fun foam, you could just cut this mom word out again and it'll work. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my foam into the spots, into that little area. If you have this foam, it'll work perfect for this. And I'm using my thinner foam, not my thicker foam. I think it'll be pretty for it to just be kind of barely lifted up. So just periodically here and there, I'm going to run that inside there. This is a lot easier than trying to mount it to the little M. And I think if I did the fun foam, well, that'd be easier because you could just mount the fun foam straight to the letter or the craft foam straight to it. Now for the O, you have to put in your little circle, and I have a little bit of a tag hanging here. I'm going to cut that. I had just restuck my Cricut mats, so they were very sticky, and they were a little harsh on my cardstock because of that, but I just put some more zig on them, so they were really sticky. Even though I hugged them, you guys know what that means. If you've been to one of my classes, you'll know what hugging your mat means. So. All right, I'm going to stick that down. Remember, you got to put that back where it goes. And then we're going to put some fun foam, or some fun foam. Now we're going to put some foam squares here. This is going to be a pretty card. I'm glad I tried this. I think it's pretty neat. I also love that you can use the Cricut images to get the look. You don't have to have any special paper or anything like that. This works perfect. Another thing you can do, if you don't have fun foam or craft foam, you can also just cut the letters multiple times out of the cardstock and layer that to get your height. So don't worry, if you don't have foam, there's always a way around things. Always a way to get things done. All right, I'm going to release the backers of all of these. Now for the fun part. You want to place these letters right over the openings that we cut out and lining up the flowers, so that really the only separation we have is just the height separation. It's directly over, and you can see there now how you can see the separation there where we cut it. Super cool. Now you got to make sure you put these back in the right spot. So do a little check and make sure the flowers are right, because if they're not, it's not going to look the same. This is the one that goes here. So I'm going to do a little cheat and lay that M in like that and then press it down. Perfect. Pretty. And then this one. How pretty is that? I love that card. The little eclipse look is really cool. It's hard to see on camera. I wish I could make that easier. Of course, I think it is. It might not be as hard as I think, but there's a nice little separation there, and it's a pretty card you've made for Mom, and you can see her name in there. Just imagine all the different patterns and things you can use on your Cricut to get this same look. There you go, guys. An eclipse card using print and cut and your Cricut. Thanks so much for watching. If you make this card or one similar, I want to see it. Head over to my Facebook group or either my website and share your work with us on our customer gallery or at Maymay Made It, and so did I on Facebook. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Talk to you again real soon. Bye-bye.